Okay, welcome back. Now you can see how simple it is to use and create widgets. It really gives your free website a great look. So what we did was covered widgets in the sidebar areas of your website. I then explained to you that the theme options are relative in relation to the widgets you have available. Some widget areas would have simple menu bars, some would have complicated depending on your themes. I then just briefly showed you about WordPress Simplicity initially, as WordPress Simplicity has an Add Sidebar widget option. I then showed you whereabouts you can find your widget, which is in the Appearance menu. We then visited the widget area. I then showed you how simple it is. It's just a matter of drag and drop and just put it into the sidebar you wish to have it in. I then showed you the active side of things where you can store widgets. We then visited the website and saw the widgets in action, as you can see on the left hand. I then showed you where to go to wordpress.org to do widgets manually. And then I showed you Word Simplicity as a system to actually install widgets as a plugin. And in this case we did an example on Twitter Widget Pro. Step 10. Master Plugins. This is your website heartbeat. As per usual, we land on this menu page and I'm simply going to look at plugins. Now this is a system we have. Now obviously there's a lot of plugins here. If you did not invest in the system, you'd have to basically either remember the name, search it through the dashboard, or go and install it manually through wordpress.org. But at this point I'm obviously going to use this system. I'm going to install my category order and my page order, and I'm also going to install the pretty link, and there's also one called Smart YouTube and my Greek box and the backup system. So those are just the example of the plugins that I'm going to plug into the system now. So in this case with WordPress Simplicity, I just simply select the ones I want to use and I just update. Okay, so now it's in. Now all these plugins are installed. I'm just going to go to the dashboard. Okay, so we're back at the dashboard now after using WordPress Simplicity system to add the plugins that I would preferably use. Here, as you can see on the left hand side, is created a plugin called Pretty Link and Shareaholic and Smart YouTube. Now obviously you need to go into the settings and get it set it up the way you would like it, and obviously there is step-by-step systems of how to do it. They do make it fairly simple. We also had a plugin set in which is called Wordpress Greetbox. So what happens is the plugins are dependent. Some of them do end up creating an icon, a lot of them do end up in settings, and some plugins would be relation to posts. Now you can see that there's a plugin created here, my category order. We also created a new one called my page order, which is under pages. So it's just a matter of understanding what the plugin is for, where you would find. As you can see, there is a page order widget that's being created there too, and also a smart YouTube widget that is also being created. So you can basically obviously drag them in where you need them and set them up. So this is basically a general idea of the power of plugins and widgets and how to use them. I just wanted to give you a brief example of some of the powerful plugins that I would use. Take the shortcut to the website. And you can see that the Sexy Bookmarks is one of the plugins I put in, and as you can see now it's created all the icons, which obviously you need to set up, but that's how the system works as far as plugins. And I just want to go back to this WordPress Simplicity station again. Okay, so we're going to go back to the plugin section here again, and again there's a whole list of them. Now there is a plugin that I do use which is not on this list. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you obviously how you can do it manually. As you should know by now, you simply go to plugins, to install plugins, and you want a new plugin, and if you know the name of it then you can obviously search. In this case I know the name of it and you can find the plugin there. Or the other way around it, obviously you can go to wordpress.org and you can simply go to plugins. This is a way of obviously doing it manually. You can see it takes a hell of a lot longer than it would with the WordPress Simplicity system. And search plugin, and there's a plugin there. Okay, if I clicked on that plugin there, what you'd have to do obviously then you'd have to go and then download it as a zip folder and per usual upload it onto your computer. But there is another way. if I take this Epic plugin here, the URL of this plugin here, and I simply go back and simply go to the WordPress Simplicity Plugin Central, where I can list all the plugins and all the active plugins. There's also an option at the bottom here that says I can actually install plugins via this. So all I have to do is enter that URL, which I just copied, and install plugin. And it says plugin found, and simply activate plugin. So I've showed you how to do it, obviously manually through the dashboard, and then obviously the reason why I do it through WordPress Simplicity, because of the power of it. And now you can see now there is now an Epic setting thing set up. To learn plugins is all about trial and error, and once you get to this point you'll get more and more familiar with them, and you'll be doing more and more, and you'll be able to transfer your sites quicker. But to actually learn plugins in itself is a 300 video course. So I do make a lot of videos in relation to plugins, so you're more than happy to follow me if you wish. But in this case we're going to give you a quick example. You refresh the page. What it does is when you scroll down, you can see it creates a drop down menu at the top there, and obviously it also creates this sexy bookmarks, as they call them. So this is one of the plugins that creates social media. A lot of them also have widget options too, so I'm going to go into widgets now. And I'm going to select the Smart YouTube widget, which is created, and I'm going to put it under myself here. And then you've got to select insert the code for the video. So I'm simply going to go and get the video URL, which you can either get from YouTube or you would know it offhand, and simply paste it in there. And when you go back to the website, you take a shortcut back to the website. You see now on the last videos we put in the Twitter plugin as well, and now you can see that we put in the Smart YouTube video, and if you click that you'll see that the video will play. Okay, so that's how the one widget works. The other widget, as I said before, was the social media side of it. And we had a social plugin widget area here that we plugged in. And then what I'm going to do is show you one more demonstration. Go to our widget areas once again. And you can see here there's an Epic widget here. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to put it above the recent post. I'm going to pull it across, put it into the recent post just above it. And stay updated. That sounds a bit better, doesn't it? Stay updated. And that's it. That's what I'm going to call it. So I'm going to save it as is. And when we go back to the shortcut for the website, okay, so when you refresh the page, as you can see, it's created a widget area here, which is basically put your name and email in and subscribe, which wouldn't be a bad idea because you'll be updated with all the recent information. So this is obviously a way you can keep updated with all the latest stuff that I'm doing in relation to building this website. So this is as far as I will take you. And for this, you've got a brief understanding of how WordPress plugins work and the power of transforming your sites. You saw the different widgets that we created with plugins, and obviously the social media side of things. And once again, I also refer to the system that I use, which is WordPress Simplicity. So as you can see, plugins can transfer your sites into these amazing creations. And I gave you a quick example of how the Epic setting works and how the Zeroholic system works as a plugin. And obviously, I also explained to you that the plugin is relative to possibly widget areas, settings, and possibly pages, where the my page order was added, and so was my category order too. So this is how plugins work. And obviously, I highly suggest you get involved as much as possible with plugins. And as I said, I have created that plugin there, which means you can basically put your name in there and email and subscribe, and every time there is a new post or I do a new video on a plugin or a WordPress feature, you will receive an email. And I'll leave it at that, and in the next video we're simply just going to conclude the whole system and the 10 steps. See you in the last video.